So in the comments, I had posted a few, I don't know, weeks ago or so, uh, pictures of Boyz II Men's composition suites. Each one of them had their office, and then they had all their MIDI gear in there, and they used them to compose new songs. And then when they were done, um, they would take a floppy disk from there and go in the A room because I duplicated all the gear inside there. And they pop it in there, and everything came up on the board, and then they could continue with the project and do the vocals in the A room, which had the big SSL and all the nice microphones and that. But somebody commented that, what, there's no acoustic treatment in there. And there isn't. And that wasn't, the main purpose of the room to put that in there. But I was thinking about it. There's a lot of times where you walk into a room and it just sounds right already. I mean, and I know there are acousticians that go, you have to put the diffusers in and the bass traps. And sometimes you walk in a room and it just has a character to it. And you go, this doesn't sound bad. I kind of like it. And there's a lot of, big examples of that. Was the drums from the Levy, was that Led Zeppelin song with the Levy? I forgot what it's called, but that where they did in the stairway and the stairwell, and it sounded fantastic. And I remember at KJM, which turned into Stone Creek Studios, which was Boyz II Men's studio, they had this big room that was outside of the studio. So we had all the studios, built, and they had the diffusers and absorbers and everything in there. And some of them they had like on these mechanisms they can move around to change the acoustics of the room. But they found out that if you set up your drums in this extra room that was untreated, just big room, big massive room, they sounded fantastic in there. And people start using that room. The only bad thing about it, without any kind of acoustic treatment, all the sound went outside. And a good thing it was pretty secluded, but there was some complaints from neighbors that kind of lived close, but not really close to the studio. I mean, it was pretty secluded. But they start putting their big Marshall amplifiers in that room. And I think Queensryche recorded in there. And there was a lot of big bands recorded in there. And they start using that room because it just sounded good. Another thing that I saw, Obie O'Brien, his studio, he designed his studio that when you walked in, he had extra headroom. So he made the control room go up to a certain height. But when you walked out of the control room into like this little lobby area that he used to record in, he made the extra height above the control room more space that you could record in. And it kind of like when you walked into the building, the control room looked like a separate building in the building, which is a good thing to do, but having all that extra acoustic space. And it's just interesting that sometimes you walk in, and like I said, it sounds great. Opie designed my my room at my old demo room. And when we were done, I was like, this shouldn't work. I mean, we had like 15-foot tall ceilings. All the treatment was in the ceiling. And then he took one corner and made it round and had that all stuffed with the insulation. But like I said in another video, when Genelec came and listened to the room, I mean, they walked in, they said, this room shouldn't work. And then they put their speakers up and they played them and go, this room sounds fantastic. It's just sometimes the little quirks of the room make all the difference. When we put Angel Mountain together, big $10 million facility, and we had the studio designers design that room, and they spent a lot of money on those studio designers. In the end, it sounded good, but you still would find flutter in certain areas. And then we'd have these big acoustic panels that we would take out of storage to put in the corners to reduce that flutter. So I think it's nice that some rooms have characteristics to them. Some rooms they sound like nothing else. Sigma's room sounded like no one's else's room, and that was before 1980 that George Alsberger did it. And all that David Bowie stuff, the Young Americans was done in there, and I mean all the other OJs and all that kind of stuff that was done in there. So sometimes when I hear people saying, "Well, there's no acoustic treatment," go listen to the room first and see if you like it before you start throwing all this stuff up just to deaden it down to make it as, neutral and as, lifeless as you can. Sometimes you like a little character in your sound, and sometimes it gives you that character that you never would have thought of, and you go, wow, this just sounds great. And you've seen this many times before where people go into a studio and they set the drums in one corner or set the drums right in the middle of the places. They set them up in different places and they sound good right here. So that comment of, well, there's no acoustic treatment, that doesn't make it not good. It just, everybody does things different. And I think this industry, trial and error is the thing that makes things interesting. If everybody sounded the same, if they made every studio sound exactly the same way, it'd be pretty boring.